Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gnananjanashalakya Chikshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. अपने अपने गुरुदेव की जय. So let's Jai Pataka Swami Guru Maharaj ki jai. My humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavis and all the devotees here. Yes, today was a very, very hectic day. Has Yugal Priya joined in this session? She's here. It's only because of her that I'm here in the session today. I called her this afternoon and I told her, can I not give the class today? I had a very, very hectic day. Right from 3:30 in the morning, even like I didn't have a fraction of a second to breathe. And is it okay if I don't give the class today? And she said, no, no, please give the class. No matter whatever you speak is okay, but you should. Then I said, oh, okay, you won't leave me and I'll come for the class. So I'm here because of her. And I love that. Her pushing is so sweet. So when she first approached me, for this class, she asked me to speak on the inner life of a preacher. And this afternoon, when I was just juggling with so many services and so many things at hand, and then Yugal Priya's call, and then I thought, I think I should speak on the inner life of a preacher. How things happen, there's something that people see, but then there's so many things that happens, and how as a devotee, as a preacher, it's so important that we maintain the right balance, right attitude to keep going, And as I was thinking about this topic, I was just thinking that preacher is not somebody or someone who talks about Krishna. Preacher is somebody or someone through whom Krishna talks. Krishna empowers or selects or, and talks through that devotee. Because preaching is not like, it's not your profession that you speak. It's an expression. It's an expression of love. It's an expression of your gratitude. It's an expression of your gratefulness to Guru and Gauranga. It's a compassion for everybody around us. So I was thinking that it's such an important topic to talk about how the preacher's life should be. Because a preacher's greatness is not about how much the preacher knows, but how much the preacher lives what he or she knows. How much are they living it in their life? And we are in need of that kind of preachers. We don't want too many speakers, but we want preachers who are living what they're speaking, right? So, and to become somebody like that, what kind of attitudes we should have, how we should be, is what is my topic today. So today I'm not going to speak on what should a preacher speak. What I want to speak today is how should the preacher be? Just how do you be? If you're a preacher, how to be yourself, what kind of attitudes you have to have the right mindset of being a preacher, because people may not remember what we spoke or what we said, but they will remember how we made the other persons feel. Srila Prabhupada was such an amazing and dynamic preacher, because it's not that he was only expert through his words, but the way he walked, the way he talked, the way he glanced, the way he smiled, the way he dealt with people, his compassion, his attitude was amazing. And that's what attracted people. So today what I want to speak is about the attitude. Because you may win minds through words, but you can win hearts only through attitude and attitude of a devotee is so important. In the Nectar of Instruction, Srila Prabhupada says the advancement in Krishna consciousness depends upon the attitude of a devotee. So what I want to speak today is about what should be an attitude of the preacher. And I've put it into an acronym to make it easy. The acronym is called H.E.A.R.T.S. Hearts. What should be a heart or hearts of preachers? And we will dwell into each and every attitude that a preacher should have, that will please Krishna. So the first thing is H for humility. And every ISKCON class starts and ends with that, because that's the major instruction that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us, that Trinadapi suni chena taror api sahi suna. So we have to have the right attitude. The first and the foundation attitude of a preacher is to understand that he's not preaching, is to understand that he's not the doer, is to understand that he's a puppet in the hand of Krishna, to understand that Krishna is using him as an instrument. That's the first thing that the definition of a preacher, to understand that he's an instrument of Krishna, to give up the doership attitude, to not crave for respect, because the biggest challenge that a preacher faces on a day-to-day basis is that at some point of the time, a preacher may start feeling that I'm the one delivering Krishna consciousness. I'm the one, speaking or talking or making devotees also. That's one very big challenge that every preacher faces, and how a preacher has to be careful not to give in to that attitude. And to take examples from Sukadev Goswami, from Narad Muni, what amazing preachers they were, so humble. Narad Muni never took credit. Actually it's me who preached Valmiki, otherwise he was just a highway robber and I made him a devotee. No, there was no intention of craving for respect. We see Narad Muni made demons and hunters and a snake and everybody, prince and kings and everybody devotees. But then he had no such craving for respect. We see even our own dear Srila Prabhupada. He is Jagat Guru, the Guru for the entire world. But he had no craving that I need respect. I always love this remind myself of this incident when Srila Prabhupada in the 1977, when he was, very weak and all, and they were carrying him one day in the palanquin in Vrindavan from Prabhupada's house to Gurukul. So in a very weak and fragile voice, when they were passing through the temple hall, Prabhupada asked, what are they doing? They said, Prabhupada, they're doing Kirtan. And then they moved forward, they went to the Gurukul. While coming back again, Prabhupada said, what are they doing? Prabhupada, they're doing Kirtan. Yeah, what Kirtan they are doing? Prabhupada, they're chanting Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, stop, ask them to chant Hare Krishna. Please ask them to chant Hare Krishna. So the founder Acharya of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, with thousands of devotees and centers around worldwide, had no craving for, they should respect me. Chant Krishna's name, chant Hare Krishna, right? So that's the first thing, a preacher, the attitude or the quality of preacher is to be prideless, to be humble, to have a serving attitude. And Srila Prabhupada, in his lifetime, maybe his interaction with his guru was maybe just 11 times. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, maybe just 11 times. And finally, the last interaction that he had with his guru, he wrote a letter to his guru that you're having such amazing sannyasi disciples, brahmachari disciples, they're doing so much for you. But I'm just a grihastha. I'm not able to do much. Sometimes I'm donating something, but what can I do for you? So imagine, and that humility of his, when humility attracts blessings, humility attracts empowerment. the way he asked, and then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives him that instruction, and then Prabhupada takes that instruction as his life and soul, and then we see this rest is history, how ISKCON comes up. So he was not proud that, I'm actually helping your disciples, or I'm actually helping the God brothers for establishing centers, or I'm donating once in a while. He said, no, I'm not, I'm doing nothing. Can I do something for you? That attitude that he had, that I'm not doing anything. And you see, even in Srila Prabhupada's disciples, there was one disciple, I am recollecting that he wrote some letter to Srila Prabhupada saying that, I can help you, Prabhupada. I mean, can I do this for you? Can I do this for you? And then Prabhupada tells him that, yes, you can help. You should chant sincerely. That means Prabhupada was trying to tell him that you do your chanting sincerely. That's good enough. And then there was another disciple who wrote to Prabhupada saying that, I'm so useless. I know, I'm so humbly he wrote that I'm so useless. I don't know what way I can, assist. And then Prabhupada said, we require more people like you. Our movement requires more people like you. So we could see that contrast, that when somebody was humble, Prabhupada said, we require more people like you, and he wanted to give him service. And then somebody was proud, saying, I can help you. And Prabhupada said, yes, you should do your chanting, chant properly. And also, if somebody is humble, humility invites empowerment. Ego invites correction. And we see that, Prabhupada himself was very humble when dealing with his guru. And then when dealing with his disciples also, he made sure that no matter what service they are doing, humility should be the basic element. I think it was Satswarup Das Maharaj or somebody who was editing or maybe Hayagriva Prabhu, I'm not sure, but somebody who was editing something, maybe a magazine or something, and they had some questions. So every time they were walking in Srila Prabhupada's room, and they were paying obeisances to Prabhupada, because nowadays in ISKCON we have become very modern, forget about obeisances, we simply say Dandavats Prabhu, or or even Vancha Kalpavati Vancha, that's it. It's like over, everything is very shortcut. But in those days when they used to pay obeisances to Prabhupada, they would say the whole thing, Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale, and then pay obeisances. So when he kept walking in and out, because for some correction in the book, and after the fourth or the fifth time, he thought, how many times I can keep doing? So the next time he walked in, he just did a very short pranam, without the whole dandavat. And Prabhupada said, why? Do the whole thing. So then he was like, surprised, and come on, do the whole thing again. So, because Prabhupada knows that how humility is such an important ingredient if we want to continue our Guru's mission and instruction. The basic element is that quality we require is humility. Otherwise, we can't stay for stronger and we can't stay longer, because the pride will take on us and we may slowly leave the path of Krishna consciousness. So, very important. When a preacher feels small, then he becomes big in Krishna's hand. When a preacher feels big, then he becomes small. So this is very ulta in Krishna consciousness. When you humble, you become big. When you think of yourself big, then Krishna will make you humble. So humility, the most important is when we are humble, when we have serving attitude, and when we are humble, we serve, we respect, only then we can become good preachers. Respecting everybody. Look at Narad Muni. He had respect for every jiva. It's not that he was preaching only to the prince, or he was preaching to just about everybody. Even a snake was Narad Muni's disciple. And the same compassion he passed on to his disciple. We see Mrigari, how respectful he was. He was respectful even to an ant when Narad Muni came to visit him the second time. And Mrigari was like running to wish his guru. And then he sees some ants and he's so careful not to stamp. Even an ant becomes important, because the preacher starts seeing Krishna in everybody. So I was just the other day in the Sunday program, I was telling devotees that when you talk about Mrigari respecting ants, devotees may think that's too far-fetched for us. But the recent example is one of Srila Prabhupada's, I wouldn't say disciple, I'm not sure if he had taken initiation, but I can say, somebody who was following, Shiksha disciple of Prabhupada, Peter Burwash. He was a tennis coach, and this was in somewhere in the year 1970s. He had gone to Hawaii, he had met Srila Prabhupada, taken some instructions. So he was a Wimbledon player, coach, and at in one particular match, when he was about to play, when you play, right, when you're playing tennis, right, you have to, move around the place, and then when he was about to take a step, he saw an ant. And just to avoid crushing the ant, he took the wrong step. He lost the match. Though he lost the match, but he won internally. He was very happy that he didn't become instrument in killing an ant. So when you come across spiritual instructions, when you come across Guru, when you start seeing Krishna in everybody, you are so careful of respecting each and every jiva. Even our own dear Jayananda Prabhu, he was so respectful. Even to beggars, he used to say, sir. Now, who is going to call a beggar sir, right? I mean, in this material world, people gauge status of a person by his finances, and they're not that respectful to the beggars, but he was like, even to the beggar he said, sir, can you move, so respectful. And because Jayananda Prabhu was so amazing, people didn't say that, oh, Jayananda Prabhu is nice because he's from ISKCON. They used to say, because Jayananda Prabhu belongs to ISKCON, looks like ISKCON is a good organization because somebody like him is serving ISKCON. So that was his personal behavior, that people liked ISKCON because they liked him. So amazing and so humble and so sweet he was, right? So sometimes it's not your words. Sometimes even if you don't speak anything, but just by the way you walk, you talk, you conduct yourself, you may be doing a big preaching. So Jayananda Prabhu, we never heard him giving lectures, but just the way he was. So many people became devotees just because the way he was, the way he used to carry himself, the way he used to deal with people. So it's very important that a preacher should have this quality of humility, quality of respecting others, and quality of serving others. And when we see Srila Prabhupada, he was so very humble when it came to service. And in fact, there was one pastime where one of the Matajis was cleaning his room, and then she didn't want to climb Prabhupada's bed to clean something on the wall because she thought it is Prabhupada's bed and how can I climb on it? And Prabhupada personally told her that it's okay, for service you can climb on my head also, so that's all right. So so nicely Prabhupada has taught the importance of serving, the importance of respecting, importance of being humble. So these are the qualities that a preacher needs to have. We see even in case of Govinda, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's servant, when it came to serving, he was ready to go to any extent. We see that he crossed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was sleeping on the doorway after lunch. Usually we never cross somebody who is respectable and honorable, but he crosses Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he wanted to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then he never crossed him back again, and he stayed put there. And after some time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu woke up and he said, Govinda, how come you didn't have your lunch? And he said, but how can I cross you and go? You were sleeping. And Mahaprabhu asked that, how did you cross me and get inside? He said, that I can do because I wanted to serve you. But for my personal eating, I wouldn't cross you back, So that service attitude. Humble, but yet ready to do things when required for service. Because sometimes people misunderstand humility as, humility means I just have to think very low about myself. It's just about thinking less about yourself or thinking more about Krishna. Humility is not allowing your ego to come between you and your service to Krishna. That's what humility is all about. Humility is not a vocabulary that you use on your day-to-day conversations and that makes you humble. When you keep telling people, actually, I'm like this, I'm like that. That's not humility. Humility is when you know what to do, what to do and what not to do. You don't allow these things to come in between you and your service. So like we see Govinda was very humble. But when it came to service, he crossed Mahaprabhu because
Service has to be done. So that time you can't say, but he's not humble. He crossed Mahaprabhu. But then he didn't cross back because it was for his personal eating. But when it came to service, he did it. So this is very important, because when we talk about humility, then the preacher may say, but as a preacher, I may have to say sometimes things firmly, sternly. So am I wrong? Because you are saying I should respect. So like, how do I respect at the same time make my points clear when I'm preaching to somebody, or I'm mentoring a group, or I'm mentoring some? Yeah, just like Vidura did. I mean, Vidura was, he actually chastised Dhritarashtra that why are you, staying in this house? But at the same time, he was respectful. So, as a preacher, they have to maintain that right balance where, yeah, you speak firmly, you speak, but at the same time, in the heart of heart, you are humble, you are respectful, you have the service attitude, and just to serve, sometimes you may have to say something or do something, and you do it with the right attitude, with the right body language, with the right, when, where, whatever is required. So yeah, this is one very important quality of the preacher, that in the name of service, he shouldn't cross that thin line and become too arrogant and speak, we're not Srila Prabhupada, we can't speak bluntly, we're not that powerful and pure that even if we call somebody rascal and he's going to love it, it's not going to happen like that. So a preacher has to know how to be humble, how to, speak at the right tone, right pitch, right time to the right people. And even if they want to give correction, how to give correction at the right time to the right person, for the right thing, in the right way, with the right language. So a preacher has to be so careful. It's such a meticulous, it has to be done such meticulously, with such precision, It's something like a doctor. When a doctor gives medicine, he has to give the right dose. You have to take 1 or 10 ml of crocin syrup. You can't say, okay, just take 20, 25. No, he has to give the right dose. Then the medicine works. If he gives a little less dose, it doesn't work. I just came back from Vrindavan a week ago and had such bad stomachache in Vrindavan. And the only mistake I did was, the doctor asked me to take maybe 500 mg or something, and I took 250 or something like that. Probably it was not available or something, and I ended up suffering. And I was just thinking, just that mg was so important, that you take the right dosage, otherwise it doesn't work, So preaching is also like that. The right dosage, right time, in the right mood, the right person, in the right place, not publicly. Appreciation, publicly. Criticism, personally, right? So the right time to the right person. Sometimes some people are not ready for correction yet. It's going to take some time. First you need to, work on them a little more before offering correction. So preacher has to maintain that right blend of things, right? And then serving attitude. Even when the preacher is preaching or talking or correcting, the attitude should be of that of serving. I want to serve this person, or whatever I'm doing is doing with the mood of serving the person, right? So that's very important. And am I craving for respect? Why am I doing this for? And that introspection is very important for a preacher. And I keep telling them that whenever you do a service, you should ask yourself, am I doing this service to be noticed? Or am I doing this service because I know Krishna is noticing me? That's very important. Do I want to be noticed by people? Or I'm doing it because I know Krishna is noticing me? Because I know Krishna is looking at me? Because I know I'm doing this for pleasure of Krishna? So it's very important that as a preacher, we have the right association of devotee preachers who inspire us in humility and not in competition. So very important to have the right association, very important to have introspection, very important to always remind ourselves, where did I start from? Before starting to judge people, where was I 10 years back? Where was I when was I 15 years back when I started my journey? Didn't I face the same problems, or didn't I go through the same thing? Or didn't I go through the same temptations and distractions? So there's no point in getting upset, or give everybody that time and space always. And always, if we remember where did we start from, that will keep us humble. Otherwise, at some point of time, preaching, person forgets from where you came from, and then we may start thinking, I'm pure devotee, and maybe just jump just right now from Goloka Dham. But if we keep reminding, where did we start from? Where did we come from? What were we doing before we got some Vaishnava's mercy in our life? That will always keep us grounded. And my favorite example to remind myself in my personal life is the Durga Puja donkeys. Now you have tractors and vehicles and Tata gadis and all, but in the olden days in the villages during the Durga Puja, when they had to shift the deities, after the sculpture makes them, they just want to sell them around in the village. The donkeys used to carry those deities, made up of cement. And wherever the donkeys go with the deities in their back, people used to keep on paying obeisances because they're carrying the Durga Devi deity. And the donkeys used to think, look at them, they're paying obeisances to me. And after the donkey finishes the delivery to all the villages, and when they walk back, there's nothing in their back, right? They've finished the deliveries and nobody pays obeisances. And they keep looking, why is nobody paying obeisances? But they don't understand. They were not paying obeisances to the donkey. They were paying obeisances to Durga Devi, which was sitting on the donkey's back. So my personal life, I keep remembering that always, that we are those donkeys whom people may be paying obeisances, but they're not paying obeisances to us. It's just that because we are connected to this glorious Guru-Parampara, we are, linked to this glorious Guru-Parampara. We are maybe in some way, in a small way, trying to represent this Parampara. So the respect that is coming is only to the Parampara and not us. And the day we disconnect ourselves and we don't do things in alignment, we're going to be like those donkeys only. There's nobody behind or nobody on our back anymore. So this is one thing that a preacher has to have, the attitude of humility. So with this, we completed the heart, H, humility. We can have a regular introspection on what's happening. Did I put down anybody? Was I respectful in my thought, mind, words, behavior today? On a daily basis, a preacher can introspect himself and work on that. Look at Krishna in every devotee and maybe mentally bow down, because as preachers, there are so many people who will be connected to us and regularly, giving us so much respect. So sometimes it's not possible to bow back, but at least we can do that mentally. Sometimes some devotees are new, so at least we can do that mentally. Practically, if it's not possible to bow back to everybody all the time, but at least we can do that mentally. So like that we can, have some tips on a day-to-day basis to control our pride, or to rather tame our pride and develop humility and respect for everybody around us, and keeping that serving attitude. Next attitude that a preacher should have is E for empathy. Very important. Feeling the pulse of others' struggle before offering them any instruction. Trying to understand, as I was just telling, that trying to understand what they must be going through, trying to put ourselves in their place, and, then start talking, first listen more, and then, understand what they are going through, understand where they are as of now, and then give them that love and care. And so it's very important that a preacher should be having empathy. A preacher's heart should be soft enough to cry with others and strong enough to lift others. Heart should be soft. You should be able to cry with them. At the same time, it should be strong to lift them up in Krishna consciousness. So that right combination has to be there. You should have empathy, you should have care. At the same time, you should be able to help them out. Not that you only sit and cry with them and you can't do anything about it, then you can't help them. But it should have a right to this. So, because care in Krishna consciousness is not only spiritual care. There's physical care, there is emotional care, there is social care. There's so many different kinds of cares that a human being needs, So a preacher's responsibility is everything. It's not only about every time somebody comes in, finish your 16 rounds. Okay, you finish. Actually, literally, if somebody does their 16 rounds, ultimately it will bring a full stop to all the problems. But sometimes that's not the only solution you offer. Ultimately, that's the solution. But then there is something that needs to be done on practical basis also. So if we are all the time, like, okay, you chant and everything, you chant and be happy. But yeah, there are some problems which they face in their day-to-day life. And as a preacher, it's important that you also try and help them in every field as much as possible. Not that we become a family guru who keeps advising about finances and about which college your daughter should go and what. Not too much, but at the same time that much, as much as required, so that they can continue their Krishna consciousness. Remember Sanatana Goswami? He was such an amazing preacher that when he used to go for Madhukari, he used to actually involve in their family matters and try and guide them. But I'm sure it must have been done with the right balance. Otherwise, Sanatana Goswami wouldn't be able to write so many books and preach and all if he gets too deep. So sometimes in the pretext of giving them emotional and social care, we shouldn't become too involved also. There has to be a thin line on how much and what is required. But at the same time, one shouldn't become completely indifferent. If they come up with any problem, I don't know, but only chant Hare Krishna and read Bhagavatam and come for Mangalarti every day. Thank you so much. No, you need to talk, you need to hear, you need to give all kinds of help and guidance and whatever is possible. If a preacher who doesn't care cannot connect, if you want to connect to devotee, you need to care for them, and that care will win their hearts. I'm just reminded of Govinda, Ramanuja's personal servant, Ramanujacharya's personal servant. Devotees once found him sleeping on the Guru's bed. And they said, Govinda, what are you doing? You're sleeping on the Guru's bed? He said, yes, I'm checking if the bed is comfortable. Because when my Guru sleeps, he should be comfortable. So I'm just sleeping and checking if it's right. There is nothing that's hard or which will be hard on his back. So he checked everything and they said, we understand your attitude, but your action is not correct. Sleeping on the Guru's bed, you may go to hell. He said, that's all right. If I have to perpetually stay in hell, that's all right if my Guru can have a comfortable sleep. So that much caring, and that caring steals the heart, And Ramanuja was so happy seeing that loving attitude of Govinda, the servant of Ramanujacharya. Even Andal, we hear how she used to make garland and actually wear the garland. It's not that she wanted to see how I look. She just wanted to check the garland is fine. Is it hurting the neck? Are the flowers too hard? Oh, they're soft. Will it look nice on the Lord? She used to check it. That much caring, even small little things, right? When you care so much, details is a symptom of love. When you are so much worried about every single detail, it's a symptom of love. When you love somebody, little things are too important for you. When we love Krishna and we love devotees, everything is important. Everything about their life is important. We have to show that care about everything that they are going through. In this material world, so many problems, so many things, adhyatmik, adidevik, adibhautik. We need to help each other and we need each other. So a preacher has to have soft words, gentle eyes, caring service. All this is required, to help others. You see, Prataparudra Maharaj, Lord didn't want to see him. But the fact that he wanted to serve devotees and the way he served devotees when they came from Bengal for that 4 months of Chaturmas in Puri, and the way he welcomed them and the way he arranged their accommodation and the way he served them, the way he offered them prasadam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so happy because of his caring attitude. And that's why finally he got darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and personal audience. When we serve devotees, when we care for them, then we attract Krishna's attention. Our intention of serving devotees will attract Krishna's attention. So a preacher has to have H for humility, E for empathy, very important. even before we offer corrections to the devotees. We have to invest enough in caring for them before offering any corrections. In a bank, you do not withdraw money before depositing. You deposit enough and then you can draw checks. When you give enough care, love, and affection, and then yes, you can correct. After affection, only then correction. So that's very important for a preacher. We see even Lord Ram, he was so affectionate, even through a squirrel. Even to a squirrel, he was very caring. And the way he offered, and even the way he treated Vibhishan, when nobody was believing Vibhishan, Lord Ram trusted him, gave him that love, gave him that care. So very important in a devotee community that we give love, care to everybody around us. So it's not only about preaching through words or preaching through our tongue, but with our hearts. Coming to the next point, H.E.A. A preacher has to be accountable. He has to be accountable to his guru. He has to have accountability to guru, sadhu, shastra and sadhana. A preacher has to be accountable for his sadhana, very important. A preacher has to also be for aligned to the spiritual master's order. He shouldn't start preaching whimsically and do things as he wants to. It should be always in alignment to his guru. So A for not only accountability, A for alignment and answerable to somebody in this world. Sometimes, preachers are preaching so many people, but they are not accountable to anybody or answerable to anybody. And then that is a very dangerous situation. So no matter where, what we are, we should always have somebody above us or around us to whom we are accountable and answerable. And the most important accountability is accountability towards our sadhana, because we cannot give what we don't have. If we are not following, we are not chanting, we are not doing our sadhanas properly, we have become very mechanical, then we won't be able to give anything, because you can't give something that you don't have. So that's very important. The preacher has to be very careful. How is his chanting going on? How is his reading and his shravanam and his kirtanam going on? How is he taking his daily nourishment or not? Because the whole situation is like there is a drought. Many people are dying out of hunger, and an NGO walks in and says, we are ready to help you, and they start distributing bread. And then somebody comes and says, I'm not happy with one bread, I want some more, can I have? And say, yes, you come with me and I'll take you to the storehouse, the warehouse where we're keeping everything, and you can take some more. So now imagine you start walking behind that person and he's taking you to that storehouse where there are more breads. And then, you become excited that you're going there, and then you want to call others also, please come on. He's showing us the way to the warehouse. Now, that's very good that you're calling others. But the most important thing is when you call others, make sure you don't lose the track of the person who is taking you. So you give the hand, and then you also hold the hand. And this has to happen simultaneously. So yes, you give, but you also take nourishment. That's very important. But if you stop taking nourishment and you only keep giving, very soon you'll be bankrupt and you have lost the way already, because you don't know where they were taking you. So it's a chain, right? Because whatever we are talking, doing, everything is just, we are taking it from the Guru-Parampara. So unless we have a strong connection, we won't be able to connect others. So very important that a preacher should have non-negotiable sadhana. This I have to do, no matter how busy I am, no matter how many classes I have, but this much I will do. Non-negotiable sadhana. So preacher has to be accountable. The line to remember is recharge before you reach out. Recharge before you reach out. I mean, we are so careful in recharging our phone when we have to go on a yatra, or we are going on a, is my phone charged? Is my phone charged? Because it's very important. If my phone is not charged, I will lose connection. We are so particular about it. But what about, is our mind charged? Is our sadhana charged before we are trying to reach out others? That we are very careless on. No, we have to recharge before we reach out. Okay, yes, now I'm charged enough. I had my proper sadhana, my chanting, my nourishment, and now I'm ready to reach out to you. But without recharging, the phone will switch off. So better we should recharge before we reach out. And reflect, introspect, make a timetable. Even preachers usually advise everybody, make a timetable. But preachers should have a very proper and nice timetable. See, anything that you want should improve, should be measured. If you measure, it will improve. If you don't measure, you will lose track. So as a preacher also, so many devotees will be submitting their sadhana sheets to us, but we have to be answerable to. We have to measure what we are doing. We have to have reflection. We have to have introspection. We have to, sometimes I was just wondering, other day I was sharing with somebody that we spend more time, generally in this world, we spend more time in planning our summer vacation than planning our entire life. You ask anybody, like, if they're going out, summer holidays, bachcho ke saath, there's so much planning. We'll go here, we'll eat there, we'll do this food. And you just ask them, pause and ask, did you plan your life? No. I'm so busy, believe me, no time. Imagine we have more time to plan a summer vacation, but we don't have time to even plan our lives. What do I want to do? What do I want to achieve? Where do I see myself after 10 years? I have to become more serious in Krishna consciousness. What else I have to do? There is no planning. We don't have time for that planning. So that's a paradox, right? So yes, how do we want to spend our entire life? So that's very important that we align ourselves to spiritual master's instruction. We are accountable to Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, and our sadhana. We should reflect, introspect, and success of preacher is not always counted on how many people he could bring to Krishna consciousness. Success of preacher is while bringing how close he himself to Krishna. Sometimes we are trying to bring people to Krishna, but how close are we to Krishna? And while doing this, did we lose our connection to Krishna? That's very important. I always remember this one example my elder son used to tell me, during the COVID time, once we were having prasadam and then we had some session on riddles, he was asking something and we were all having fun, and then there's one thing he asked, that somebody who shaves regularly but he still has a beard. And I was like, how can somebody shave regularly and still have a beard? And then he said, it's a barber. A barber shaves regularly, but he shaves others, right? So he has a beard because he's shaving others, not shaving himself. So, and after the game was over, I was just reflecting that, he did it for fun, but it is such an amazing point. I hope we are not turning into barbers where we shave others, but what about we're trying to help others to get over their anarthas, but what about our anarthas maybe growing like a beard? Somebody needs to help us out also on regular basis and check on us, That's why every devotee should have somebody. It may not always be a mentor, because sometimes if you are on a level where you yourself are a mentor for many people, at least there should be somebody whom you can just open up and they can also just open up and correct you that this is not happening correctly or that's not happening correctly. So everybody should have somebody like that, at least one person in their life who can be open in giving corrections, and we can be open to them in admitting when we are going up or down and sharing openly with them how our Krishna conscious journey is going. So that's very important. And when we are preaching, we have a very big responsibility on our head, because somewhere in some small way we are representing the Guru-Parampara. So we have to be so conscious. Preaching is not only about a spotlight on ourselves, but actually more than spotlight. Preaching is like holding a mirror wherein you are showing the reflection of your Guru and Krishna to people. So we just have to hope that that reflection is a good one, is a right one. And for that, we need to develop these proper qualities and attitudes, right? So the first thing we spoke about was H for humility, and E for empathy, A for accountability and alignment, and then the R for, oh, this is the most important point, rejoicing in others' success. What happens, you become a preacher, then you start making many devotees, and then there is one challenge of subtly sometimes becoming envious of the success of juniors, or sometimes becoming overprotective. I'm her counselor, she's my, and now she started attending their classes, or she's liking this, or she's, and they become so overprotective, or sometimes subtly competitive. She shouldn't go there, or he shouldn't go here, and only hear my classes because I've made them devotee. And sometimes that becomes so toxic, or I can say so suffocating. And I don't know, at least weekly basis I get 4 letters like this. Mataji, I am under so and so counselor or somebody, but now I am not inspired by this Mataji. I want somebody else as my counselor, or sometimes I am more inspired by this class, but then this Mataji is restricting me, or this Prabhuji is restricting me. This Prabhuji says I should hear only to his classes. What should I do? So I mean, at least 3 to 4 letters I get like this, and I feel so sorry that, are we right in doing that? Okay, sometimes when their Shraddha is very komal, and we like a nursery, we want to nurture them with the right kind of content. Okay, don't read this as of now, this is not for you, you start with this book. Okay, now you like a guidance. Okay, here are these classes, this will help you because you are new in Krishna consciousness. But then at some point, when you see that they're doing good enough for themselves, so some space is required. We can't micromanage their lives and make their life suffocated. Yeah, it should be like just like the small child. We are very protective of our child, but that doesn't mean that we keep the child in the lap and we just hug tightly and I'll not allow you to go. No, we are protective. We allow the child to play, but we keep observing the child. If the child is crossing this safety limit, then we say, come on, come back. That's not the right place. But then you allow space to move around. So, yeah, when we are mentoring somebody, you can't suffocate them. Yeah, you allow them. Be protective that they're not started hearing some Babajis or something. Yeah, but then within ISKCON, okay, give them some space, let them hear, let them grow, let them get nourished. So that's very important. And sometimes there is a subtle envy also. When sometimes, you're like, I was just mentoring that guy and now he's become like, he's preaching, and we may not express it, but somewhere mentally, some kind of a subtle, we have to be very careful with that kind of feelings. So the test of purity is when we can become happy when others shine brighter than us. That's the real test of our purity. Are we happy when the others become more successful, right? See, we may be mentoring somebody, okay, and we may think that we brought him into Krishna consciousness, but dear devotees, everybody here is playing a test match. It's not a one-day match. It's a test match. When you see those scores on the board, you don't know they've been playing from last life. So we don't know where they have stopped in their last life in Krishna consciousness. So sometimes it's like so quick. You just started mentoring them, and then you see within 1 or 2 years, they're like already doing so good because they've been playing. They must have stopped the game somewhere and you just help them to continue it. That's it. So sometimes, though we may be mentoring them, we may be very low in Krishna consciousness than they are. Because maybe we started maybe this life, who knows? And maybe they've been practicing Krishna consciousness maybe from 10 lives, you never know. But maybe somewhere they must have stopped like Bharat Maharaj and became a deer or something, they must have stopped, and then now they'll continue from that stage. And we may be just beginners, but maybe this life we came into Krishna consciousness before them. So always we should remind ourselves not to take pride in like, I am the mentor of these people or I brought them into Krishna consciousness. You never know. We don't bring anybody. We just instrument Guru and Krishna uses sometimes like a chessboard, places here, places there to do the right thing and defeat Maya and save us and others via us is what Guru and Krishna is doing. So it's very careful. Rejoice, and not only rejoicing in others' success, not only giving them space and freedom to grow, but also willing to learn from them. That's also another step in Krishna consciousness, where we are also ready to learn from our juniors. We are also ready to learn from those whom we brought in Krishna consciousness, because they may be having something that we don't know. Like Srila Prabhupada, he was a Jagat Guru, but he didn't mind to learn. Sometimes he used to, like, not in Krishna consciousness, I mean, he's a pure devotee. I'm just trying to give an example. Sometimes he used to just ask, like, what is this used for? Or sometimes, he's just on the bank of, on a beach or near the ocean side, walking in the morning walk, and he asks, what do they use this for? What do they use this for? As like, just like a student asking curiously so many questions. And the disciples would say, Prabhupada, this is used for that. And he was never like, I'm a guru, why should I ask him? No, very humbly, how do you use that? What do you do that? What do you do in your country with this kind of things? So yeah, we should always be a student, a teacher to our student, and again a student to our student also. Yeah, so we can learn from our juniors also, and we should be open to that. We should be very careful as a preacher. We don't want to become Daksha Prajapati, who disrespected Shiva because he was envious of Shiva. We don't want to become Amoga, who was envious of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We don't want to become Shishupal, who was envious of Krishna. We don't want to do that. We want to be humble, nice. We want to be Sudama, right? So we have to be very, very careful. We can reflect. We can reflect for ourselves. Am I secretly competing, or I am sincerely celebrating the success of others? It's very important. Sometimes it's not only to do with your juniors, even to the people, your peers, or somebody on your own level, who may be also preachers like you. Are we envious of them? That's also a very important point. To subtly notice our mind process and thoughts. Are we subtly somewhere a little envious of others who are preaching very well? So we have to be very careful. But as a guru or as a mentor, when we see that devotees whom we have mentored are doing well, we should be happy. Just like Dronacharya was so happy when he saw Arjun was doing well. That should be the... Narad Muni was so happy when he saw Mrigari doing well, when he saw Valmiki, who was not able to chant even Rama, Rama. He was chanting Mara, Mara, and he's an author of Ramayana, and Narad Muni was so happy about it, right? And we should be ready to take lessons from anybody. Rahuguna took lessons from Jada Bharata. I mean, look at Jada Bharata, the way he was looking, the way he was, and Rahuguna was so humble. Even I can learn from you, I can learn from everybody, right? So like that, like, Bhagavatam, the 24 gurus, yeah, we can learn from everybody. So there should be no such feeling of junior, senior. We should learn from everybody and rejoice in others' success. I want to tell you one thing, I was contemplating when I was reading Ramayana that, initially Hanuman, he forgot his powers. So when other Vanaras were telling that, I can jump like this, I can jump like that, Hanuman was quiet. But then Jambavan reminded Hanuman, Arey Hanuman, you have a lot of power, you can also jump. And then Hanuman said, he remembered. And then when, everybody came to know about Hanuman's power, all these Vanaras, they were clapping so heartfully for Hanuman. They were not envious that, Arey, look at that guy, till now nothing he knew, we were jumping, now suddenly he become a superhero, he's going to jump. They were all clapping for him heartfully. Yes, Hanuman, you can do it, come on, you. See, that's the beauty, how sweet they are. There is no iota of envy. Of course, I mean, that's why they are there in the books of Ramayana, but they are our ideals, right? To be non-envious of devotees. And then now we go to the next point. So H for humility, E for empathy, and then we said A for alignment and accountability, R for rejoicing in others' success, and now comes T, heart, T for tolerance and patience. Very important. Sometimes as a preacher, you'll get so many criticisms. Sometimes I get so many such hate mails. What verse, Mukham karoti vachalam? unconsciously, many times I say, Mukham karoti, Mukham. Like, in speed, and I just say Mukham. And then there was one mother, what is this Mukham, Mukham? It's not Mukham, you don't know, it's Mukham karoti. Yeah, it's correct. So she wrote an email. Then one time, I'm in a class, I was saying, Sukhadev Goswami. I said, why do you say Sukhadev? It's not Sukhadev, it is Shukadev. I said, yes, Mataji, you are right. Then, it became a trend. Everything that I do, then you know what? I started waiting for those emails. It became like a love affair for me. Because I started enjoying them that, Hare Baba, at least there is somebody in the world who loves me so much, is always thinking about what am I doing wrong, and nowadays I'm not getting those mails and I'm missing them because, of course, nowadays I'm not giving that many classes also. I got so busy with some other services, but I started loving them. I started, it was so kind of her, somebody who is taking so much pain hearing my whole lecture, not for the content, just to correct me that where I said what I did wrong and what I didn't pronounce properly, or sometimes in the flow of the lecture, you may just say some wrong name like Dhritarashtra, you may say Duryodhan, something in the flow of the lecture, and she will make a note of it and she will send it to me. This is not correct, and so as a preacher, you will come across so many kind of people. You will come across people who will start treating you like God. Okay, there was one Facebook email. Somebody, I know, Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj sent me. He said, Nitaisevini, what is this? He sent me a screenshot on WhatsApp, and it was from somebody in Bangladesh, and who said something like, if there is any problem in your life, just chant Nitaisevini Mataji name and the problem will be gone. And Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj sent me, Nitaisevini, what is this? I said, Maharaj, I absolutely don't know who is this person, and I don't know, and believe me, I'm not speaking any such thing in my classes. I don't know why. And then I was sweating that who is this guy and why did he write something like this, that chant, and when everybody will misunderstand me, that probably I'm speaking something like this. And then, after I gave the explanation, then Maharaj sent me a smiley face and he said, welcome to Bengal. I know it's not your fault. This is what they do, in Bengal, when they like somebody so much, then they just start, making their own concocted this. So he said, we do regularly face like this when we preach in Bengal. And then I was like, because I had skipped a heartbeat, I thought, what is this? So when you are preaching, sometimes, suddenly there are some group of people who will start worshipping you like God. Somebody will be like criticizing you like mad. There'll be all varieties of people. So as a preacher, you have to be very tolerant. You have to be very tolerant and very patient with all kinds of people that you come across. There'll be people who will criticize you. There'll be people who praise you. You shouldn't get disappointed. What happened to Nityananda Prabhu? He was preaching to Jagai Madai. At least we are not on that situation where we are, people may have tendencies like Jagai Madai, but they're not grossly like, they don't come and attack you with a broken pot or something like that. They don't they walk away, right? So, we are in much safe and comfortable zone. So, as a preacher, we have to be very tolerant even in regards to result. Otherwise, sometimes we become over fanatic about result, and that emotional burnout. I have been preaching and I have been, cultivating this girl for so much time, and then finally she didn't turn up and she gave up after chanting. Now she has again gone back to old things. Actually, that's not part of our business. Our jurisdiction is only efforts. Results are Krishna's jurisdiction. Now we are trying to cross our line. That's Krishna's problem. What's going to happen? It's all. And sometimes, when we get this kind of rejections in preaching, like we are doing a lot and all, but things are not working out. Sometimes the management is not supporting this, that, and you get rejection from everywhere. You had planned a program. So many things will happen. But I tell you, rejection is Krishna's way of testing. Are you preaching for result or are you preaching to please him? That's his way of testing. So whenever the rejection comes, just take it as, oh, Krishna, you are testing me. Whether I'm doing it for, praise, or I'm doing it for, result, or am I doing it to please you? Then I'm going to pass it because I'm doing it only to please you. So yes, we have to put in our efforts Results is Krishna's problem. Whether he wants to give it, he doesn't want to give it, that is his problem. Srila Prabhupada faced so many problems. We just hear the good things. But there are many people, even in Srila Prabhupada's own entourage. Now, the other day I was reading somewhere that, in the memories book, I think so, that, when Prabhupada was preaching in Canada, there was this one Mr. Mukherjee. He was in Prabhupada's entourage only, traveling with Prabhupada. And when Prabhupada was giving a class, suddenly in a public space, he got up and he started speaking and asking Prabhupada some obnoxious questions, and he didn't behave well. And then after that, when Prabhupada was leaving Canada, he told His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj that, call Mukherjee, I'm leaving Canada, so I want to bless him. And Gopal Krishna Maharaj said, but Prabhupada, why? The way he spoke to you and he insulted you, why do you want to bless him? And Prabhupada said, well, it must be my Purva Janma Karma, something to do my past life. I must have done something. It's okay. He just gave it back to me, call him. And then Prabhupada blessed Mr. Mukherjee and left that place. So imagine somebody like even Prabhupada, so much they had to face, right? So, I mean, they have the purest heart and the purest intention and full of compassion just to help others. But even that process, still sometimes, they'll face some criticism, some things. So, preacher has to be tolerant, right? You just have to be patient. Sometimes result may take a long time, or sometimes there may be no result. Sometimes it's just like sometimes a woodcutter may be, blowing the tree with his axe, 10 blows, 20 blows, nothing happens. He walks away, goes to the other tree, and the other woodcutter may come, and with one blow, now the tree may break or the tree may give up, because already 10 blows have been previously done by somebody. So sometimes you just do your part and walk away, and maybe after 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, they may become devotees, you never know. So one has to be very tolerant and patient. Every service that you have done, every sacrifice that you have made, it's noted by Krishna. Just have patience. I remember dear devotees would just share, I think we're already going ahead with the time. I'll just share one small example. My personal life, I'm juggling with so many things here. And I'm talking this about many years ago. I had this desire that I want to do Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, Bhakti Vedanta. I mean, when I talk to people, they're doing these courses. Whenever I go to H.E.A.R.T.S, I meet other temple presidents' wives, and they'll be telling, we're doing this course, we're doing that course. And I'm like, when will I get a chance to do all this course with all the service that I'm juggling? School, temple, festival, funds, puja, guest house, Goshala, my children, my PhD, my education, with so many things that I'm doing. Will I ever get a privilege to, do Bhakti Shastri or Bhakti Vaibhav? Maybe I cannot, because too much service, very less devotees, lot of things to do. And after some time, I just gave up on that. I said, okay, I'm doing what, is required, what is ordered by my Guru, my Siksha Guru, and my husband, who's also a Siksha Guru for me, and he is pleased with that this is a service required as of now for the temple, so I do that. So I completely, over a period of time, I forgot about that desire that I wanted to do Bhakti Shastri, I wanted to do all that. So I forgot about it, completely erased from my mind, and I'm happily doing my service. A couple of years ago, just before COVID, after COVID, or it was before COVID, one fine day I just get a call. I get a call from Atul Krishna Prabhu. I know that thing is an education minister or something like that. And he said, this is Nitaisevini. I said, yes. I said, your Guru Maharaj wants you to do Bhakti Shastri and all. So I'm coming to Visakhapatnam. I will come there, stay there, make you do Bhakti Shastri, and then go back to Mayapur. I said, what? He said, yes. This is what your Guru Maharaj said. And I said, yes, Prabhu, welcome, please come. So he came all the way to Visakhapatnam. He stayed here for a few days. He made sure I do the course. He made sure I write the exam, and then he left. And I was surprised that, some time back I had made that desire many years ago that I want to do it, but there is so much service. And I thought, my God, just be patient. Krishna will respond for all that sacrifices you do, for all that you do. And the day he reciprocates, you will feel so ashamed, because you would not expect that this is the way he'll reciprocate. He can just give you anything. Just have patience, And I was thinking that if I actually had to do it myself, I don't know when I would have to go to Mayapur, leaving my seva and stay there for 1 month or something, 6 months. I don't know how I would have do it. Here is a person, he directly comes and he sits with me and he gets it done and go. And out of the blue, I'm not even expecting, So yeah, my dear devotees, just tolerate, just be patient. Krishna has a mega plan for you. Just wait for his plan to unfold. And okay, now let's go to the last point that I keep talking. S, hearts, right? I said hearts. H for humility, E for empathy, A for alignment, R for rejoicing in others' success. And then we did the last point, tolerance. And now comes the point with S, surrender and depend on Krishna. Because a preacher works like everything depends on him, but he prays like everything depends on Krishna. So yes, he works hard, very hard, as if I don't do this, it's not going to happen. But internally, he knows it's Krishna who is going to do it. I just need to pray. I like that one example of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, and I always keep that so close to my heart. In one of his classes, he was talking about one sadhu at Radha Kund, and somebody asked him, why do you keep a stick in the night to just, because just to guard myself from the tiger? And so the other person asked, but the stick is so small, and don't you have faith on Radharani that she will protect you? And he said, I know Radharani will protect me, but I'm just keeping that stick because I want Radharani to know that even I am working hard. Even I'm trying from my side. But ultimately she's going to protect me, but I have to tell her that even I'm trying. I just love that personally so much, and I always keep in my mind that ultimately everything Krishna is doing, but I just want to show him even I'm trying. I'm also trying my best. And what we are simply doing is that's what we are doing with that small stick like that Babaji. Nothing much, but at least to show that I'm doing something, so that Krishna doesn't think that, okay, now you guys are not doing anything and you want everything I should do. So we're trying to do something, but ultimately it's Krishna. So a preacher should have that surrender and dependence on Krishna. Our surrender, very important. I am reminded of how that when Prabhupada disciples were not pronouncing the Sanskrit slokas nicely, then one Indian gentleman told Prabhupada, your disciples' pronunciation is not perfect. And Prabhupada said, yes, their pronunciation may not be perfect, but their renunciation is perfect. Their surrender is perfect. So yeah, a preacher will work hard and will do whatever is required, but ultimately he should depend on Krishna. He should leave the result to Krishna. He should always be conscious that I am a puppet in the hands of Krishna. Over-identification with success and failure will kill the preaching spirit. Over-identification. Success, I preach, this happened, that, and over-identifying with failure. But I tried. Who is asking you whether you have passed or failed? Did you try? Did you give your 100%? That's what is Krishna looking at. Just your efforts, because results belong to Krishna. But efforts belong to me. That is not Krishna's, that's mine. Efforts are mine, and I'm going to work hard. Results are his. We have divided the department. Results belong to Krishna, efforts belong to me. That's what a preacher's fundamental mantra should be. So yes, surrendering, that's very important. As a preacher, we are surrendering our ego, surrendering our everything, our life, our body, our mind, our speech, everything to Krishna, depending totally on Krishna. I remember this one pastime with Ramanujacharya. He was once having a serious discussion with one of his disciples called Dasarathy. And Dasarathy comes and asks him, what's the meaning of Sarvadharman Parityajya? And as they are about to discuss, Atulai comes there, Ramanujacharya's relative, his brother's daughter. So she comes and, uncle, I'm so, my mother-in-law is so rude to me, and, she's always taunting me, and she's making me work very hard. I have to go and fetch water far away from the well, and I have to cook so many dishes. I have to wash everybody's clothes. And if I complain, they say, why don't you get a servant from your mother's house? So this is my situation. So she was crying, every time they're taunting me, go get a servant from your mother's house. So all this is going on. And Ramanujacharya just looks at Dasarathy and says, you go with her. And looks at Atulai and says, take him. No, she doesn't know who is Dasarathy. He's such an amazing devotee and a scholar and a Sanskrit scholar, nothing. Somebody sitting next to Ramanuja, he said, take. So, and Dasarathy also does not complain that, Guruji, me? He just walks away with Atulai. And they go to the village and Dasarathi starts cleaning the vessels, washing the clothes, cooking. He becomes a menial servant of their household servant. And then one time, when he was cleaning clothes near a well, a scholar comes to that village and he is giving some discourse under a tree, and he makes some mistake and somehow he's unable to tolerate, and it just comes out, he blurts out, no, that's not the meaning of that verse. Then everybody starts laughing. Look at this guy washing clothes, a menial servant, and he wants to contradict. Then he says, no, I'm very sorry, I just wanted to say, but that's not the meaning. Then he said, okay, come here, tell me what's the meaning. And when he gives the meaning of those verses, they're all shocked. And then they come to know, oh, he's the renowned Dasarathi, and here he's working as a menial servant. Then immediately they say, please sir, you go, you shouldn't be doing this. He says, no, I will not. My guru has asked me to do this, I'll continue doing this. Then they go and complain to Ramanuja, please take him back, it doesn't suit him to work like this. And then Ramanuja calls him back. And then Ramanuja asks him, Dasarathi, the other day you were asking me the meaning of the verse, Sarvadharman Parityaja, do you need an explanation? Then he says, no Guruji, I got it. Because he lived it. He actually lived that verse, Sarvadharman Parityaja. He was, for his guru's sake, he was ready to give up. So this is something very, very special for preachers. Sometimes, you'll be put in different situations. Sometimes, but we continue our service wholeheartedly, and we depend on Krishna's mercy, and we are ready to sacrifice and surrender our ego, our comfort zones, our, whatever so-called mindset that we may be having. No, this I can do, but this I shouldn't do. This I'm capable of, but this I'm not. Everything we have to surrender. When you become a preacher, sometimes, you have to even wash clothes or dishes, or sometimes give class for 2,000 people, or sometimes just simply walk into the bathroom and clean, or sometimes make a garland. A preacher should be flexible, ready to do everything, and they shouldn't define preaching in a very narrow way, that preaching means giving classes. Preaching means just doing anything that will help Guru in his mission. That's what preaching is all about. Surrender and depend on Krishna. So we completed a lot of points here. A preacher has to face so many ups and downs, because Bhakti does not guarantee absence of problem. What Bhakti guarantees is presence of faith. It's not that when you come into Bhakti, the problems will go. But only thing is, there will be faith in every moment and every step, and you can feel Krishna's presence. So what we simply need to do is, like Prabhupada said, I'm simply trying to repeat what my Guru Maharaj said. Whether success or failure, that is Krishna's desire. So that's what a preacher should have mantra. Simply repeat or do what instructions have been given, or what has been asked to carry out, and then success or failure, that is Krishna's desire. And in this process, while doing and executing this, to be very careful, to be respectful to everybody, to be very, very humble, kind, caring, and not to hurt people around us, in any way in the name of preaching. To be grateful, to always understand where we came from, how we started, and to relish on others' success. I like that one line that Prabhupada once said, that when somebody asked him that, Swamiji, if you wear pant shirt and, while in Rome, be like a Roman, then people will appreciate you more if you look like them, if you just, Then Prabhupada said, well, my success does not depend on their appreciation. My success depends on Krishna's satisfaction. I'm working for Krishna's satisfaction, not for others' appreciation. So this is one thing that a preacher should, that people may praise us, they may not praise us. Sometimes our service is valued, sometimes may be ignored. But we are not working, or we are not serving for others' pleasure or praise. We are serving for Krishna's satisfaction. That's it. That should be the preacher's mindset. Guided by Guru, protected by Krishna. This is what our life is all about. So there are other things that I want to say. The problem with me is, it's difficult to get me to come and give class, because I'll be having so many small other services to do. But if you get me, then you can't stop me. That's another problem. I'm sure if Yuga Priya has joined, she must be thinking, this afternoon Mataji was telling that I have a headache and now we can't stop her. I think I've already crossed the time and all. But anyway, one last prayer that a small poem or a small prayer that I want to do it with all of you today. That what should be our mindset. So it's like we can pray to Guru and Gauranga that let my words be soft with care, let my heart be filled with love to share, let my will be aligned to Guru's call, let my faith be unshaken through it all. Let me rejoice, or to rejoice in others' joy, I bend. On Krishna's mercy, I depend. By Prabhupada's grace, may Seva be friend and guard my heart from pride's pretend. And may this be my inner life from start till the end. So that is a journey of the inner life of a preacher. With this, I'll end it here. Thank you so much. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, and so sorry for going over time. Hare Krishna.